Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. And I have to say, if you woke up this morning, looked at the headlines, and felt like the actual ground beneath your feet was shifting, you are definitely not crazy.
It is a heavy morning. Usually we sit down and we're looking at one thing, right? Maybe a tech story or an energy crisis.
One specific sector.
Exactly. Today, the lines between all of those sectors are just gone. We're seeing nuclear treaties that define security for decades just expiring, and that's colliding head-on with this massive cyber campaign and an energy crisis that is literally rewriting alliances.
It really does feel like the guardrails are coming off. We have the New START treaty, which is effectively gone as of midnight. We've got hackers hitting nearly 40 countries at the same time.
And a winter that is just breaking energy grids across 2 continents.
So amidst all of that noise, our mission today is to, well, find the signal. We need to connect the dots.
We have to. We need to understand how a diplomatic deadline in Washington connects to a hacking attempt in, say, Brazil, and why your economic outlook for 2026 might actually hinge on whether Elon Musk can put data centers in space.
So let's dive right in with the heavy hitter, the whole shifting architecture of global security. The headline event, which happened at midnight, is the expiration of the New START treaty.
It's dead and buried. And to really get why this matters to you, the listener, you have to look at what New START actually was. It wasn't just some piece of paper.
No.
It was the last surviving pillar of that whole post-Cold War arms control world. It capped U.S. and Russian nukes at, 1,550 each? But the real key was the inspections, the data exchanges.
It was the trust but verify part.
Exactly. And now we have neither trust nor verification. The lid is just off the jar. But here's the most, I think, alarming insight coming out of the defense community this morning. The fear isn't just that Russia might build more bombs.
Okay.
The new buzzword on Capitol Hill is friendly proliferation.
Friendly proliferation. That sounds like a contradiction in terms. I mean, proliferation is usually the scariest word there is.
It is. But think about it from an ally's perspective. If you're in Warsaw or Seoul, you didn't need your own nuclear deterrent for decades because you were under the American nuclear umbrella.
You trusted the balance.
You trusted the balance held firm. Now the treaty's gone. That balance is unregulated. So if you're a Polish general right now, you're suddenly doing the math and wondering, can we rely on a handshake or do we need our own?
Wow. That's a massive destabilizer. If our friends start building nukes, the number of nuclear states could double in a decade.
That is the absolute nightmare scenario. And it's why we're seeing this rush to replace old treaties with something new. The old model was limitation treaties. The new model is technological integration. And the poster child for that is IQ.
Right, AUKUS. We've touched on it before, Australia, UK, US. But looking at the reports today, this thing is morphing into something way bigger than a submarine deal.
Oh, much bigger. IGUS is fast becoming the main security architecture for the whole Indo-Pacific. It's designed to bypass treaties by just making the alliance technologically superior. Pillar 1 is what everyone knows, the hardware, the SSNIK's nuclear subs.
Which was the source of that huge diplomatic fight with France a few years back when Australia canceled the French contract.
Right, that was its messy birth. But now we're seeing it mature. And the real game changer, where the sources are focusing today, is Pillar 2, the Advanced Capabilities Pact. We're not talking about steel hulls anymore.
We're talking about the crown jewels.
Exactly. Sharing the top-shelf military tech, AI, quantum computing, hypersonic missiles.
And this is where that friendly proliferation idea gets a twist, right? Because we're seeing reports that Japan is now in talks to join Pillar 2.
That's it, exactly. Japan's in talks. New Zealand and South Korea are being looked at. They see IGUS as the only way to get access to this next-gen defense tech. So while New START dies, IGUS expands. We're trading a system of limits for a system of leverage.
But here's the paradox that really jumped out at me. At the exact moment the treaty dies, the US and Russia are actually talking again.
It's the great irony of 2026, isn't it? They've agreed to resume high-level military-to-military dialogue for the first time since late 2021. This follows a quiet meeting in the UAE between General Alexis Grinkowicz and his Russian counterparts.
Why now, though? If the rules are gone, what is there to talk about?
Survival. When the guardrails fall away, the risk of an accident just skyrockets. You don't have inspections, so you're just guessing what the other side is doing. These talks aren't about friendship.
They're about deconfliction.
Purely. They want a red phone to make sure a missile test doesn't accidentally turn into World War III.
So we're back to Cold War basics. Don't blow up the planet by mistake.
Pretty much. It's a very thin safety net. And while the generals are trying to prevent a hot war, the silent war is already raging. We have to talk about this new report from Palo Alto Networks.
This one is staggering. An Asian cyber espionage group hitting 37 countries. And we're not talking about, like, stealing credit card numbers.
No, this is high-level statecraft. They breached 70 organizations, ministries of finance, law enforcement, even a national parliament. But the real story isn't the scale, it's the timing. The report proves these attacks are now totally synchronized with real-world events.
Okay, give us an example of that, because usually we think of hacking as just this background noise.
It's not random at all. Okay, look at Venezuela. The report says the day after U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro, a massive breach hit an organization linked to the Venezuelan government. The hackers wanted info on the power transition.
Wow. Okay, what else?
The Czech Republic. President Peter Pavel meets with the Dalai Lama. We know that's a huge red line for Beijing. Immediately after, hackers start doing reconnaissance on the Czech army and their Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
It's like the cyber attacks are the shadow of the diplomatic moves.
They're the eyes and ears. Brazil is another great case. The Ministry of Mines and Energy got hit. Why?
Rare earth minerals.
Because Brazil is a critical supplier. If you want to win the tech war, you need to know who controls the minerals.
The report calls them an Asian group, but the targets and timing, it does point pretty clearly in one direction.
It tracks very closely with Chinese geopolitical interests. We should note, though, that the Chinese embassy has denied all of it, called it unsubstantiated. But you're trying to understand modern warfare. This is it. It's a silent, synchronized assault on information.
And speaking of winning the tech war, let's pivot to the economy. Because somehow, despite all of this, the global economy is, well, it's surprisingly okay.
It is holding up. And we have one sector to thank: artificial intelligence. A new report from Combank calls it the AI investment boom. It says the global economy is in a cyclical upswing led by the U.S., and AI is basically the pillar propping everything up.
So the robots are literally paying the bills.
In a way, yeah. The investment in data centers and compute power, it's just massive. But there's a catch. You can't just print growth. We are seeing inflation reemerge because the demand for this tech is hitting physical limits.
Limits on what? Chips?
Energy, electricity. AI is so power hungry, we're hitting the capacity of our grids. And that's driving up energy prices, which drives up inflation. The report points to Australia thinking about hiking rates again because of it.
Which brings us to Elon Musk. Because of course it does. If there's a physical limit on Earth, he wants to leave.
Of course. So Musk's SpaceX has just bought xAI, his own AI venture. And the stated goal is, straight out of science fiction, speed up development of AI data centers in space.
Put the servers in orbit. Is that actually practical?
Well, it's solving for the exact bottleneck we just talked about. A data center needs two things: power and cooling. On Earth, cooling servers uses a ton of water and electricity. In space,
It's naturally freezing.
it's naturally freezing, and you have unlimited solar power. You completely bypass the terrestrial power grid. So if the constraint on AI growth is Earth's energy grid, Musk is betting the solution is to just leave Earth.
A bold move. But for the rest of us stuck down here, those physical limits are hitting hard. This winter is brutal.
It's a year of limits for energy, too. We're seeing freeze-offs in the U.S. cut oil production by almost 15%. Europe's gas reserves are down to 45%. That is dangerously low for February.
And when energy gets scarce, geopolitics gets messy. We're watching the Persian Gulf very closely right now.
We are. U.S.-Iran tensions are at a boiling point. President Trump has deployed a carrier group. But, and here's that theme again, U.S. and Iranian officials are scheduled to meet Friday in Oman.
That seems contradictory, sending a carrier and a diplomat at the same time.
It's classic coercive diplomacy. The agendas are totally different. The U.S. wants to talk about Iran's proxy groups. Iran wants to talk about lifting nuclear sanctions. The fact they're meeting at all tells you both sides know the energy market is too fragile for a war right now.
Nobody wants to block the Strait of Hormuz.
Not when supplies is tight. Meanwhile, the whole oil map is being redrawn. I was reading about this Venezuela pivot.
It sounds like a game of musical chairs with oil tankers.
It really is. The U.S. eases sanctions on Venezuelan oil. Why? It lets the U.S. encourage India to buy oil from Venezuela instead of Iran.
So the U.S. is basically taking away one of Iran's biggest customers.
Exactly. You squeeze Iran's revenue, but you keep the global oil supply stable by bringing Venezuela back online so gas prices don't spike back home. At the same time, Russia is redirecting everything: oil, gas, coal to China.
So the world is splitting into these two energy blocks.
It's looking that way. The energy flows are becoming as polarized as the politics, but there is a bright spot in the data: renewables. They reached a record 30% of EU electricity in 2025. They actually surpassed fossil fuels.
That is a huge milestone.
It is. So the long-term trend is green, even if the short-term reality is, a dirty scramble for heating oil.
Okay, let's move to our final segment, flashpoints and domestic fronts. We have to start with Ukraine.
The war just grinds on. President Zelensky released a devastating new figure, 55,000 Ukrainian troops killed since the invasion began. Just a staggering loss.
And yet there are talks happening there, too.
In Abu Dhabi. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are there. There was even a prisoner swap. But the battlefield dynamic is shifting because of tech. Russian troops have apparently lost access to Starlink terminals on the front line.
SpaceX shut them off.
Seems so. Which highlights this new reality of war. A private company in California can blind an army on the other side of the planet with a software update. It's that idea of tech replacing treaties again. SpaceX has more practical influence on that war right now than the UN Security Council.
Turning to the U.S., it's chaotic. We are on day 4 of a government shutdown.
Standard Washington gridlock. But the real tension is over enforcement and civil liberties. We need to look at what's happening in Minnesota.
This is the directive from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
Yes. After immigration officers shot and killed 2 U.S. citizens, including Alex Preddy, Secretary Noem has ordered body cameras for all agents in Minnesota.
That feels like a major flashpoint. A federal agency, a lethal force incident, and now a mandate for transparency.
It's a huge flashpoint. And it's happening alongside these other high-drama legal battles. You have the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, personally present at an FBI seizure of election materials in Georgia.
That is highly unusual.
Very. For a DNI to be at a field op like that. And at the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is being questioned by a judge for trying to demote Senator Mark Kelly, who is a retired Navy captain, over a video he made.
Wait, demoting a sitting senator?
A retired officer who is now a senator. The conflict is fascinating. Does the military chain of command still apply to you when you're a civilian in elected office? The judge seems skeptical. It's a real stress test for the civil-military relationship.
It feels like stress tests are the theme of the day. Treaties ending, cyber wars, energy maps shifting. How do we pull this all together?
I keep coming back to that phrase from the Combat Report, the year of limits.
A year of limits?
Yeah, we're hitting the limit of old diplomacy. That's New START expiring. We're hitting the limit of our energy grids. That's the inflation and the push for space data centers. The limits of our supply chains.
But at the same time, we're seeing these attempts to just break right through those limits.
Exactly. We're trying to out-innovate our problems, can't agree on treaties. We build better AI through IACUS, can't find enough energy on Earth. We look to space.
Which leads to a final thought. With the death of New START and the rise of these tech alliances, are we moving from a world governed by law to a world governed by, well, physics?
That's the question, isn't it? Are you safe because a piece of paper says you are? Or are you only safe because your AI is faster and your hypersonics are unstoppable?
And if safety is based purely on capability, that race never ends.
It never ends. It just gets faster.
On that note, we want to encourage you to stay curious, keep reading, but stay grounded. The world is changing fast, and we'll be here to help you dive deep into it. Thanks for being with us on the Deep Dive.
Until next